Good evening, everyone. Happy holidays. Hello, Steven. How you doing? Hope the studio is getting ready. Hello, KS. Hello, Frank, Gidget. And thank you, Frank, for an early tip in the coffee jar, like Maurizio as well. Thank you both, guys. And thank you to the ever reliable as well, Thomas Corcoran. And a bunch of you since the stream from last week. Bernd, Daniel, Fred Perderman, G-Mac-G, and a Revenge. A Revenge, I think, may count as today. Anyways, I hope you had a fun Christmas, even if it's far from over here in Sweden. It's like we are in a race between Christmas and New Year's Eve, and then between New Year's Eve and the 6th of January, which is a holiday here. Hello, Torsten. Hello, John. Hello, Bernd. Thank you for your tip after the stream from last week. Merci beaucoup. Hello, Pascal. So tonight, hopefully you guys will tell me. I think we might have a better sound than usual. And there'll be a lot of electronic music from different directions. Already this fun little library soundtrack from Jean-Pierre de Cerf with others. Hello Raph, how you doing? Hello, I'm the Dead. Back to your... wait, was it you who were using your wife's account last week? Or was it a Revenge? I remember. And there was a Revenge. So, yeah, a little find from Den Bosch. Synthetic music on the Ovidis label. Ovidis was mostly library soundtracks, and here this is I guess it might have been issued by Chicago 2000 before, and we were listening to Thematic by Martin Lanibor and Jean-Pierre de Cerf. Jean-Pierre de Cerf, always worth checking his stuff. Well, I hope that's a good trip for you. Here we had just a little bit of a snow on Tuesday, right before Christmas, so that was just perfect. So this I was not really after, but it looked interesting, the price was right. So it was sort of a blind buy, even if I knew quite some about the content of this, and I'm quite happy. Thank you, thank you, John Levinson, for a very, very nice tip in the coffee jar, and thank you, Barry. Merci. Thank you a lot also for a nice little tip in the coffee jar, and Euler for your usual very nice tip as well. Merci beaucoup, everyone. We're gonna have a lot of electronic music tonight, I think. Unless I get derailed, which can very well happen. As I try to have not too much of a plan here. But let me know about the sound, especially right now, since this is the turntable that decided to go wall last week, and I think the sound might be better than it has in a few weeks now. That sounds very nice, Raf. Hope the family is good. Hello, Marcos. I guess it is. This record was actually released by an occasional listener of the show. This is not his music, but his label. So this is Weed, which was released on 6 tonnes de chair, 6 tons of flesh. Sort of an indie punk stoner weird label. This is really good. Sort of psychedelic folk. They're supposed to be a stoner band. I mean, who would have guessed? But I find this a little more crossover with or stoner folk. Cheers, Morbad. How you doing? Yeah, this is great. This is an EP. The whole EP is pretty good. Quite long tracks. Some tracks with harmonium and mini log. Hello, Andora's Revenge. Thank you for your tip earlier today. Oh, X-Prince Protégé. Hello. How's California? So some, tonight there'll be some tracks that I've been living with for a few weeks now, before I decided to experience a little more before sharing. See if I can find some links for you. There you go. This is what we're listening to right now. Hello 40 Men. Salut compare vinyle. Disque un peu français. Ooh. Is my cable dying again? Nah. This is something that this was a blind buy, and another one of these I'm really happy with. The reason I got this record is because this was works that were conceptualized and produced in the Firenze Electronic Music Studio in Italy, under the guidance of Pietro Grossi, maybe. And this is Luca Mitti, who did some work with Giancarlo Tognuti. Giancarlo, who did one of the seminal Italian industrial albums, La Mutazione. But this is more of a avant-garde. He was also part of the musicians on Alvin Curran's Conti Illuminati when Alvin Curran was living in Europe and in Italy. One of his albums for the 4 label. But yeah, this is sort of a showcase where you got Roberto Barbanti, Letizia Bolognesi, who, well, none of them I knew prior to getting this record, but yeah, this is the shit. Hello, Juha. Well, we're getting there, but there's still more records to be had before next Tuesday. Smoker folk, yeah. Indeed. Hello, Thomas, and thank you for your very nice support throughout the year and tonight especially. What do you have, 50 or 60? What is that? Hello, Art Nulart. Yeah, this is really good. Musice Sole. It's live electronics. In this case, oscillatore e linee di ritardo. There's a flanger, a custom-made flanger. This is from This was written between 1989 and 1990. So you know, this kind of music. Electronica Runa. Released in 1993 in Italy. would classify this as a sort of deep listening piece recording. Not that it has too much to do with Polynoliveros, but it does, though, depending on how drony you you find this. Torsten, I don't know if it's condolences or congratulations, but yeah, that can happen sometimes. I'm so sorry. Ah, okay. I get it. That was a good one. Hello, Zelvia. Yeah, so this is probably pure experimental music territory as well. Not an easy record to come by, but not an extremely rare, or I mean, yeah, it's rare, but it's not extremely expensive yet. Cheers, Tempo Boto. How you doing? Hello, Sean Cole Strain. Thank you for leaving a tip in the coffee jar, and for being a good friend as well. Thank you. Salut France Bizarre. France Bizarre, who's also been quite helpful this year, securing me some of my French digs, centralizing. Zik23, Forza al Canut. Thank you for tip, for nice tip in the coffee jar. Merci beaucoup. I'm already halfway to my objective for tonight. Nice. France Bizarre. Hello Ivan, how you doing? Yeah, holiday's been good. I got a wok pan, which I needed for Christmas. That happens, huh? Well, I tricked you with 2 Santas last week, as I tricked them, I guess, a little bit as well. Hello DJ Soki, how you doing? Late 2025 release. Thank you, X-Prince Protégé. Merci beaucoup for leaving a nice little tip in the coffee jar as well. Merci. the latest album from a beloved artist whose records tend to sell out and go for lots of money. But this one is under a slightly different name than usual. This is Laut an der Seele. One of the most active labels of 2025, World of Eco. Hello Andy, how you doing? It is. So what is? This is beautiful, soul crushing, I would say. Yeah, I would agree with that, Blue Train. I think they're just getting better, Magic Berber. I never thought the recordings were essential. They were good, but I think this one is really topping what they've been doing before, prior to this. There are some connections for sure between the tracks. There are some sounds being used in both. Monsieur Haha Hihiho, how you doing? How are the holidays treating you? Thank you, Andy Pello, Andy Pello, for leaving a nice little tip in the coffee jar as well. Merci beaucoup, Andy. And Magic Berber here, who was the winner of one of the free competitions from last week, the Christmas gifts. I thought I might have time to get into all the suggestions, the recommendations that a lot of you have left in the comments of the past video. I haven't. I went through some of them. I will try to be done with that during the weekend, which means that if you haven't already, there's an extension till Monday. And look who's here. Mushroom Santa. Now a very odd and delicate recording. One I've just grown to like more and more. I think I've listened to it like 3 times this week. This is Karen Willem's album, A Fool's Guide to Reality, on Permanent Draft, which I believe is Valentina Malaghetti's own label. Here Karen is using Zither, Casio, field recordings, tambourine, Mikado xylophone, pots, bells, kindergarten instruments, snare, noise box, crispy shakers, synth effects. Just a nice little outsider music record. It's a great one, I would agree. Quite esoteric, I would say. Not the obvious love at first sight albums. But that's quite nice, actually. Don't worry about it. You're still in time. Copoke Detox. Suit Crude Review. We're listening to the Blue Ramen #1 B-side. Blue Ramen might say something to some of you. Lovely little 7-inch by Daniele Zenoni, aka Low Rest. Musique électronique extraordinaire. I think he was recording the the Ramones, or no, the Misfits in the early 80s. Then he went on to do techno with Juan Atkins and sort of IDM in the 90s, 2000s, even if he was an oddball. Even then, even within IDM, he stood out. And he's obviously into jazz, into soul, into exotica, and this is him performing a live version of one of his great tracks from his Lost Plug Research album from the early 2000s. And now I make myself a little treat. Hey Joe, hey Joe. Hello Andrew, how you doing? OGC is digging in Marrakesh and shopping his movie there. Well, there you go. So this was self-released on his own Splat label. The title track, Suit Crude Review, is a reference to an album that was only released on CD by him. A take on Sun Ra that is quite extraordinary actually, but was never really well distributed. Let me see if I can find the link for that as well. Yeah, so the band is Suit Crude Review there, yeah. Not Sun Ra covers per se, but like heavily like electronic fusion jazz, heavily influenced by Sun Ra, by someone who understands the music of the 90s and 2000s. Hello Queen, how are you doing? Yeah. No, I just thought I'd share with you maybe my greatest find of 2025, which is a record I already had in 2 different versions. I would easily say this is one of my top 5 favorite records ever. And some days I would say this is my favorite record ever. This is the first pressing, the only version that is complete, that is not faded out, of indeed Canaxis Technical Space Composers Crew, which is Holler Shukai. This was released at the same time as Monster Movie. Monster Movie, the first pressing by Can, the band of Holler Shukai, was released on their private press that only released 2 albums. Monster Movie, the original sealscreen jacket, and this one, also extremely rare. It's never been clear if it's like 500 copies or 300 copies they did. And this was a Den Bosch find. So this is basically him, and we're listening to the Ho Mai Ni, which means boat woman song. This is him in duo. You can see here Shukai, Damers. This is a sort of rare opportunity to hear the original pressing. I've listened to my copy from '81, my copy from the 2010s on Grönland, and I can't say this one sounds any less than the remastered versions. Actually, I would even say it sounds better and is more complete. Yeah. And this is just the intro. It's gonna get going. I've been lurking around an original of this for a few years now. Of course it has been on my want list for a long time, but financially was probably a bit unrealistic. So basically they did a trip in Vietnam and Cambodia, I think. Field recorded musicians, rituals, atmosphere there, and now they jam over it. So this is a tape music piece with some extremely trancy krautrock grooves. Tip your DJ of the night if you haven't already. '69, yeah. This sounds like I don't know. For me, the Threshold Boy choir, the Peter Christopherson project we did in Asia, we're recording street boys, ritual dances and parades, is sort of a spiritual follow-up to this. This is one of the very few recordings of Rolf Dammer's sound technician. This leaves me speechless almost every time I listen to this. Indeed, Thomas. If you like the stream, please leave a like, a thumbs up to the video. And thank you for the kind words, Thomas. I hope you're not the only one who shared the sentiment. And if you're watching this whenever as well, you can also leave a thumbs up to the video. You can leave me a comment to let me know what you think of the stream, of the video. And if you like this happening every week, like it does almost every week, you can also tip your DJ by following the links in the description of the video. Thank you. So even the difference between the original and the reshus is that the reshus skipped there's 4 minutes extra music on this recording. Apparently, like when they did the remaster in '81 for Spoon, there were some issues with the cutting and the tape, and they did some choices there. So this is the only place where you can find a full recording, as far as I know. Hello Sydney Mackenzie, how are you doing? Yeah, lots to like about that recording. The next record is something of a sort of, you could say it's post-modern in all the best possible ways. It's a Canadian release. And it's post-modern in the sense that it's using gear from the past in a way that was technically possible to use back in the 80s when the software was created, but culturally probably not. So it is sort of like a vintage electronic music porn. But also a little bit of a clever little piece. There's actually a couple of tracks I want to play from that record. That's about to play as I fade both records into each other. Technical Space Composers Crew, TSCC, Canaxis 5. At the time, Holger Shukai was starting to open his own wings after having studied under Carl Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, and apparently this was inspired by some of the techniques he learned while being a student at the Köln electronic music studio. There are bootlegs of this, but well, on this one you can see it's not a bootleg by the deep groove around the spindle hole. This was also a Den Bosch find. And absolutely not a cheap record, but I did good. I could afford it, and thanks to you, by the way. As you could hear, great condition. Well, I'm happy you love that. Yeah, the reissue sounds great as well. It's just missing some, and yeah. Oh. Yeah, I have this. There's 3 volumes. Which volume did you get? Alex thought is maybe my favorite comic book artist ever, and letterer. So we're listening to the 3rd and final volume of the Universal Synthesizer Interface by Kristen Roos. This is a reproduction of an ad for this. This is basically using the computer music systems program that Joel Shadabe, the composer, developed to basically a MIDI interface to control analog MIDI drum machines. Not like a digital interface. So basically you could plug any MIDI drum machine from the time, this is from 85 I believe, into a computer, and through that program you could live program and edit the drums, and the drum machine would play it live. So Kristen Roos has made a specialty of preserving old music software that has kind of become obsolete, but that might have had its own quirks, and this is really fantastic. Yeah, so the program was called Upbeat, the Intelligent Rhythm Sequencer, released in 1987, yeah. So she did 2 other volumes of this kind of projects around the various programs developed by Joel Shadab, I think. I've listened to the 3 of these. This is by far the most spectacular one. And I believe it's still available at a very normal retail price. I think I'll play another track to show you some of the range of this. But yeah, this is fantastic indeed. Ah, okay, no, I thought, yeah, because there's a sort of monograph on IDW, free hardcover books for the men. Very well worth having. Yeah. Well, I don't know for which computer it was compatible with, but I guess so. Dr. T, I'm not sure, John. Doesn't mention anything of the sort here, but you might be right. Look who's there. How you doing, Sean? So I decided, yeah, I wanted to play another track from the same album. There's like 6 tracks, they're all good, but yeah. Yeah, M, indeed, M. Absolutely. And Jam something. Yeah, this is volume 3, I'll give you the link. Or maybe Sean can get back to his old habits. This was released on We Are Busybodies. Now this is, even if this was, I mean, this is brand new, but this is still like, this is very modern. Here it is. Yeah, there's a really great syncopation on these, like, obviously, well, that was what programs that would allow you to do that live back in '87 on a drum machine from the time. It's not often you would hear drums like that back then. Are you available now for the evening, Sean, or are you just stopping by? Ah, good for you. Good call, Thomas. Yeah, they are grass. Yeah, the bass on this is out of of control. I need to adjust my anti-skating on this a little more. Yeah, I would agree to that, Blue Train. Even though I think this year there might have been a little less wow than the past few years. I think this year the label that has impressed the most for me from on my end would be Living Records. Hello Bobby, how you doing? Yeah. Next, another one of these crazy Den Bosch finds. Yeah, so I would say this is a pretty much a no-brainer, that record, if you're into like minimalistic, minimal, syncopated trance-like drumming that can also be dance music to a certain extent, but that is more than that. Yeah, that record is a grower, if not much more than that. So now, yeah, one of these records made by an artist. I think I mentioned it on several streams. I haven't played it here or anywhere, so I might have not even showed it here or mentioned it. But this was probably my biggest find in Den Bosch this year, both editions combined. Although my biggest finds, I was thinking about it this week. I might be doing a little video about that. The biggest find was a French record. So this is the second album of Günter Maas, Musica Mundana, 1971, Electricus Klangbild. Private press, self-released. But this is the art edition. Kosmische Visionen. 15 Lithographies und das elektronische Klangbild. So the record comes in this. So basically the 15 paintings that were used to create this music, as he was inventing devices to transcribe his visual art into electronic music. And they're all signed and dated. This had been on my want list, the album, for over 25 years. But I didn't know that that edition existed. So yeah, I didn't plan to spend that much money on that record, but when I saw that edition, well, I broke the bank a little bit, I must confess. But I love the music. His first album is really something. But yeah, this is even another level, I would say. What was interesting is that the guy who had it had another record from 10 years later than that one, that was only released as an art edition in 3 copies or 5, I don't remember exactly, like something similar but with even more like art around the white label record that it contained. And Magic Berber is correct, as I saw him mentioning it somewhere. Where was it? Yeah, a reshoot. So basically, Metaphone is going to do a box set of 4 LPs, I believe. 3 or 4 LPs with most of his known music. He has a bunch of 7 inches with books of containing art and writings and sketches. So at least you'll be able to get this. I don't know how much print material it will contain, but Timo, who's behind the label and the project, he's very thorough with this project, so it should be done well. But it's not for tomorrow. We'll see when it comes. Modicum of a delirium. Considering your name, you should know better. Of course it is. Yeah. Yeah, and here's the link to the record. Yeah, I entered this specific edition as well, but yeah. Yeah. Kurt. He is becoming, he's a great artist, and I actually bought a little sculpture of his on an online website, German auction website for very little. Like, I think I paid in total with shipping and fees like 60 euros. But that was some time ago already, and but he's quite unique, and I think there is room for him, for his profile to grow. You're welcome. I thought, like, if I play it, I should show it as well as I can. Yeah. It's sort of it's not very musical. It's not about like melodies or harmonies. It's more about like waves of sounds and contrast and energy. But you will find harmony there and a sense of beauty. Hello Zetman, how you doing? Thank you, Andrew Lukov. You're welcome. Thank you for leaving a very nice tip in the coffee jar as well. If you haven't already and you want to support the stream and me being able to present stuff like that, that's the best way to do it. If you can't afford to leave a little tip in the coffee jar, well, leave us a like or a comment in the comment section if you're watching this later. In tomorrow, this weekend, next week, next year, next decade. I hope I'll still be around. And thank you, Sean, the Vinyl Dreamscape, for also leaving a nice little tip in the coffee jar. Merci beaucoup, Sean. Playing another record alongside kind of reveals the harmony qualities of this. Cheers. Cheers, Sean. It's now an interesting record from like it came last year. I think at the tail end of last year. Someone from Magic Bell City. So we're keeping a theme, like there's a sort of connection between this and the fact that the Günter Maas record is going to be reissued on a label from Belgium. So this is a Belgian artist who currently lives in Vietnam, apparently. He's been very active for the past 20 years, and this album is sort of a gear shift in his career, as he's mostly been known as a straight up techno artist. So this is still connected to techno. This is sort of a post club release. This is Peter van Heusen. On the Vlek label, a great label from Belgium that has released quite a lot of great experimental music in the past few years. Here you get the link of the record. Towards the center of time and surrounded by spirits. Thematically appropriate tonight, isn't it? Hello John, how you doing? Well, okay. Next one is for you then. Yeah, fun sleeve, but the Peter van Heusen record is a double LP. Mostly rhythmic tunes. But not for the club in an obvious way. in an oblique way for sure. Here's a record I discussed. I think I discussed this record with John, the 6-inch pianist, when we met in Den Bosch. Marvin Gaye's Trouble Man. Yeah, I played that little low-res 7-inch earlier. Funny thing, so this is basically, as you can see, a live recording of performance of the Trouble Man soundtrack, written and recorded by Marvin Gaye. It's a blaxploitation movie that Marvin Gaye did the soundtrack to. Daniele Zenoni, the man here behind Low Res, he found the score and noticed as a trainee musician that there were some discrepancies between what had been recorded and what was on the paper. And what was on the paper was, he thought was great. So he decided to clean up, to put it in the right order, and to have an orchestra perform it with a soul singer in Ghent, in Voorut, a big theater performance theater. And I traveled from Paris to Brussels to see that and chatted with him a little bit. I was young, much younger. That was when was that? In 2000. It doesn't even say here, but I think it was probably around 2004 or 5, 20 years ago at least. And he lived in Ghent back then because he was doing a lot of stuff with a local label called AIM. He started a 7-inch jukebox series, but that came to an end before the planned 12 release schedule, because he fell out with the label over some stuff that I'm not privy to. I've heard one side, but it doesn't make much sense anyways. But so this remained unreleased for the longest time, and he decided to release it himself on the Splat label, his own label, some time ago, like 2 years ago. And back then I contacted him to see if he wanted to come on here to talk about it. And he politely declined, saying that like he wants the music to speak for itself, etc. I just thought it would be a nice way to just have him on and talk about his vast, even though scattered discography. And I was a little bummed that like that didn't happen, because I really love his music and his art. And lo and behold, a few months ago, he contacted me through Instagram, not connecting the dots that it was the same person. I had played some of his music, and somehow he saw the video here on YouTube and asked me if I wanted some of his music, if I was missing something. And I told him, well, I'm missing this 7-inch and this, and that's it. And he kept sending me messages about more obscure stuff that I would have probably missed, and I told him, no, I actually have it. I have it. But this past week this arrived in the post, And so thank you, Daniel. I was planning to get this anyway, since I was there at the same time when this was recorded in the audience. The first track we heard was Scholky, which is the only composition by Daniele Zenoni on this. We're now listening to T stands for trouble. Yeah, I was thinking about that. That's sort of like a noir. And that's what Daniele Zenoni has been doing for some time now. This sort of noir, spy jazz, funk. There you go. Thank you, Sean. I see Sean is getting back on the saddle. Yeah, it is. And Daniel plays some of the synths here. So, Sean, if you look it up, there might be a Bandcamp website for that as well, as I think it's still available. See, I can shift gear as well. Huh? Tip your DJ of the night. I don't know if John is still here, but that one was for you, John. And now, one of the most beautiful records of 2025 as far as I'm concerned. Still available, limited to 350 copies. Not a big release. Marcos, this is for you. A composer from, or a musician from Catalan, the Catalan country. I believe this is his third album on vinyl, released in Belgium. This is Mark Melia. PCs, monophonics. I believe he lives in Germany, in Belgium. Here, Vlek again. See a few themes there, like unplanned, but cross-pollinating the the knowledge. Catalonia, thank you. You're welcome. Hope you enjoyed that. All tracks recorded with an NFB Dominion 1. I love this record. This is kind of stuff that Warp can't release anymore. Sort of has a little bit of a played feeling, but even more inspired. Good album. I'll play another little tune from this to show you the depth of the record. How is the sound, by the way? Is it still good? Doesn't have deteriorated too much? It can do that. Midnight, disco time. Thank you. I just know that sometimes when I talk over the music, the signal struggles a little bit and compresses itself a little too much. Marcos S&D Seeker is from Spain and from Barcelona, so he's interested in all this. Now I made a little transition. There will be another Mark Melia track before, but this is Unspecified Enemy. Earlier, I think it was this summer, I played their first album that was released this year, when this is their first single, which was released not this year. It was released in 1999. It's a good electro techno. EP, almost a mini album in a way. I had been after that, not super actively, because I have one of the tracks on this already that had been reissued, the A side, but all the B sides were like new to me. Here it is, Unspecified Enemies. Yes. That was the Mark Melia again. I'm just trying to solve a little bit of a small issue here. Nothing major, nothing that should affect you, the sound or anything. Zelvia, interesting you say that. I think it's Svek was more funky. This was more like electro and minimalistic. But yeah, maybe. Yeah. So remember, guys, when and girls, when in April at Den Bosch, I found finally the 2 albums by A La Ping Pong, one of the forgotten German bands of the last wave of krautrock. So they only have 2 albums, but the main guy of A La Ping Pong, Klaus Block, released this in 2000. Mania. So this is basically one of the last bands of the minimal of the cluster side of krautrock, continuing what he was doing in the early 80s, in the late 90s. And it's just a fantastic album. Available. They only did 500 copies of it, I think. Here I see 518. And it's just a wonderful little record that is, I would say, fairly much under the radar. But if you like cluster, A La Ping Pong, obviously, and Klaus Dinger, Stereolab, you will love this record. Eddie Perez, how you doing? What was the favorite record I played tonight for you? I'll just let it play a little more, as I haven't listened to it a lot yet. I'm still sinking my teeth into it, but what I've heard, I really loved. Good catch, good save, good answer, Eddie. We're gonna stay in a sort of krautrock territory with the next release. Yeah, exactly. This is not a great cover. I would agree with that, for sure. Okay, here's one more track from that record because it's just so good. But that cover, like, if you find this in the bins with no clues, no blurb or nothing, how do you react? The B-side, the back cover is not much better. Apart from the fact that he mentions Ping Pong Records, which might be a little bit of a clue. This is a fantastic record, to be honest. Oh, I see some of you already like it on Discogs, huh? Okay. So now this is a record that was just released. So a little context. There's this record from 1975 that was a cult, like, electronic library-ish album, quite obscure, released in 1975 in Italy, totally sounding like an Italian record from Germany. I remember I bought it, the original. There was a reissue on Wawa, the Spanish label. But I was in a shop in Bordeaux, in France, in 2014, while touring with my band. I was playing at the iBoat. And I had been told about a little shop in Bordeaux that was supposedly great for jazz, avant-garde, experimental, industrial, prog, folk, whatever. Little shop run by a guy called Amir, who's been very difficult to deal with online since then, because the shop was extraordinary. And he told me that, yeah, we can do some more business, but it's proven impossible. But I bought the original of the Electricus. And this band called Electricus Electronic Mind Waves. But as you can see, this is volume 2. Since then we've discovered who was behind Electricus, and this is someone that has been sort of a real rabbit hole for me this year. Andrea Centazzo, the Italian free jazz drummer, or free jazz, like free music. I played some electronic soundtracks of his, but basically this was released on a small weird label, and around the same time he released his own stuff on his own label, Ictus. And I don't remember when, but at one point it was revealed he was the musician behind Electricus, and as he planned to reissue it, he discovered recordings from the same session of the original album, and he thought, like, this is good, and so he actually reworked them a little bit, or he added stuff to it, and here you are, the volume 2 of Electricus. basically using the same artwork as the original one, but with a different color scheme. It was a multicolor one. I have it somewhere. Maybe I'll play it another time. But it's been reissued at the same time as well as together with this. Fortunately, you could buy both separately. But now this is being released on Ictus, even though the first one wasn't. Oh no, yeah. Oh, I didn't know about that, Stefan. I have a few records that he plays on. On the Electricus album, there are some tracks that were really grooving as well, like hard groove. Played probably the most esoteric one, but they're all good. Next record is for Eddie Perez, by the way, if he's still here. So this is a nice little treat from the ever reliable Okora label. Les Musiciens de la Forêt, Volume 1. Forest musicians from Gabon. listening to Our View, which is a track meant to celebrate death, as we're about to go into a new year. We have to make end with the previous one. I will listen to this again on December 31st as we get to the new year. There you go, Art Noulart. This one, the Gabon Musicien de la Forêt Volume 1 on Okora, that's a cheap one. Some Okora are still expensive or have become expensive, but this one, no. And the whole one is great. Was recorded in 1979 by Hugues Poitvin et Catherine Oneto. This is a follow-up to a recording made by the same institution in '62. I love it when the chorus comes in. And as this is a song about death, where shall we go next? You know, I like contrast. The contrast can be musical, thematic. So next could be about life, or maybe it's thematic. Cheers, Richie Zambrota, for leaving a nice little tip in the coffee jar. Much appreciated, Richie. Where are we going? What's the type of music I play the least here? Well, certainly not like industrial. Although like late 70s, early 80s, Okora label. This record is from 2024. Missed it. Almost. This record is sort of the missing link of something that I've been very curious about for 30 years. Actually, no. 20 plus years. This is the latest album by Coast. I played some Gabba. So Coast is a duo made of a younger guy and Andy Swan. Andy Swan was part of Final and Mesh, which basically connects him to Justin Broderick from Godflesh. I mean, musically, it's kind of obvious. What's more interesting is that as a young teen, Andy was doing a cassette label with Justin Broderick. Like in 83, 84, releasing industrial, electronic, minimal music. One of my favorite metal records of the past 10 years, I would say, by far. Many things afflict us, few things console us. There's like 3-4 tracks on it that I really, really like. Is this metal? Yeah, it is. Is it like regular metal? Probably not. But why would you be here if it was? Cheers, Sean. Nice reminder. Thomas with the concise comment sometimes, huh? Z. Now here's a wonderful little late 2025 release. One of these that might easily fall between the cracks. So this was released on Pra, a very interesting label for modern classical. Thomas. Thomas is being cryptic tonight. I don't mind it. So this is a small ensemble initiated by two guys, you would not necessarily expect too much, as this is James Ford, who used to be the drummer for Simian and produce Arctic Monkeys. He's produced also Blur, Depeche Mode, the Pet Shop Boys, and he's been doing some soul music in the past few years. He had an album on Warp that was interesting but not completely successful, if you ask me. But this is a new project of his called Frequency London, or more specifically, like I'll put the link because it's spelled in a quite unusual way. Frequency LDN, live from the St. Matthias Church, Hackney, London. Recorded about a year ago, performed. Yeah, tons of processed harp, clarinet, the bass clarinet, electronics, oscillators, cello. There's some spoken words on some tracks, lots of percussions, harp, yeah, violin as well. It's just really a very, very strong release from someone I didn't expect to deliver anything of the sort. Yeah, but that's why this is surprising, and that's why you have to overlook past scenes to discover greatness. It's a lovely movie. Mankiewicz. One of the best movies ever made, I would say. I'd say this is more than just that. I mean, I understand how one would perceive it that way, but this comes from a minimalist and electronic music background, I would say. Yeah, absolutely.
Everything I never asked him. How often do you tell your mother that you love her? How often has your father held you and let you cry? Did you ever love a soul you always knew you would never love back? Did you ever love a man fiercely enough to hold him close and not name him brother? Can you speak of the first girl who broke your heart without calling her something cruel too? Can your heart ever heal from all the things you will never tell me were done to you? Is there a worship inside you that calls to a forgotten forgiveness in you? Is there a sacred you wish someone else understood? A sweeter language you wish someone else knew too? Have your fingers known fists before they have known the openness of holding hands? Has your skin known bruises before it has known the tenderness of touch?
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you be?
Yeah, you have until Monday, Richie. Don't worry.
What would you be?
By all means, be my
the
guest.
God of? If they made you a god of soft things, would you finally learn gentle in all the ways it was withheld from you?
Good sounding white vinyl record. Good to know. You can still do them. Now we veer into straight up free improv or free jazz. Then Bosch fine. Yeah, I guess the voice doesn't necessarily add anything. But go check the album, you will find some good stuff in there. Arthur Doyle Electro Acoustic Ensemble, Conspiracy Nation. Arthur Doyle on alto sax, voice, flute, recorder, Leslie Q on bass and guitar, Ed Wilcox on drums and percussion, Vinnie Patter, I can't read it, on the Roland 505, Tim Poland on the Clavini Nova, and Dave Cross on turntable, sampler, and more stuff. Joe has just is distributing in the US a great book about free jazz records. So if you go on Carbon Records Bandcamp and order that book from Person Moore, Mats Gustafsson, and the third guy, yeah, the third guy always forgets to be name checked. In the US, that's the best place to get it. I would say. Team Poland, yeah. Oh wow. That's one of the early Cubico releases. You never know how official they are. But it's a great document on a fantastic electric free jazz improv session. With a great friend of of the greatest drummer of free jazz ever, the Mantis. Brian. Cheers, Sean. Next song is going to be a bit of a fun paradox. What's my favorite band? What's my least favorite genre of music? Yeah, what's my favorite band? What's my least favorite type of music? There was already clues of that possibly happening with a collaboration with Sun like 20 years ago. Good night, that man. We only have like 2 or 3 more songs. But I'll see you later. Thank you for stopping by. And leave a thumbs up if you liked it so far. And a comment if you missed some stuff and you want to tell me about what I missed, what I succeed in, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, and or whatever. And if you really like the stream, you can always leave a tip in the coffee jar. Tip your DJ of the night. Salut Ludwig. This is the band Cadaverous Condition, remixed by Nurse with Wound. This record is like 20-25 years old, and they commissioned the remixes by all these fine people. There's even on the CD version, Andrew, there's a remix by Asmus Tichens, so it makes like, it's completely like makes no sense. Colin Potter, Nocturnal Emissions, Andrew Lyre's Typal Sandra. So Typal Sandra makes the coil connection. The CD has way more track. I think there's a second Nocturnal Emission remix that is great as well, and maybe a second Andrew Lyre's or Nurse with Wound remix. But this was just released. And if you order directly from the band like I did, it costs very little. They're from Greece, or the label this came out on is from Greece, but I believe the band is from Greece as well. Such a weird record, huh? Cheers, Sean. So after this, I'm gonna leave you with one last song for 2025. I hope we had a good ride together through some hip-hop, some metal, soul, krautrock, electronic, dub, industrial, nipzin, high, zouk, woka, indie, jazz, free jazz, improv, drone, avant-garde, modern classical, shoegaze, harsh noise, ethnomusicology, rock and roll, huh? Yeah, obviously, or it was originally released, the CD of this on Clone Gallery, which kind of explains the post-industrial drone leaning of that project. So if you haven't already, you can still partake until Monday in the competition, in the Christmas competition from last week. Go check the last week's video if you haven't. You will get all the details on how to participate to win a few records selected by me for you. And yeah, other than that, I hope you had a fun night. If you had, or evening or day, whenever you're watching this, wherever you're watching this. So if you liked it, you can again leave a thumbs up, as supposedly it helps. And the more you help, the more this can go on a larger scale. I don't know when I'll publish it, but on Monday I'll be doing recording a video that I think a lot of you will be very excited about. Very excited. And something quite unexpected, and that but also very expected from me, that could put the channel a little bit more on the map. And I have a lot of these going on, so the more you support me, the more I can do that. And otherwise we'll keep doing this in the little merry way we're doing. So leave a thumbs up, leave a comment if you're watching this later, and tip your DJ of the night, of the day, of the evening, whenever you're watching this. Cheers, Record Hound. Cheers, Thomas. Thank you, Joe. Happy New Year to you, upcoming year, yeah? Thank you, Maurizio. Can't wait for a little something, you know. Good night. Yeah, no, there will be a vinyl tag as well from my end. Cheers. Salut, Anthony. Holy McGrail remix. Pretty cool, but we have one more song. Cheers, Richie. I believe this is the first time I see you under that name, at least. Alright, let's have some fun for the end. 6 tonnes de chair. Seal scream. The stashes. Yeah, I got them all, 40 men, loved them. This was released about 10 years ago. So, 2 girls and 2 guys from Switzerland. Last week we played something on Disco, les disques Bongo Joe. That's where they usually release their stuff. But this was released on the French 6 tonnes de chair. Really, really fun rock and roll. Bye bye, bye bye.